Then you can see headlines. He talks about being the salt of the earth, being the light of the world, that he came to fulfill the law and he wasn't going to break any aspect of the law, but that righteousness needed to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. And starts to talk about various kinds of law as perceived maybe in the Old Testament or from other teachers, and then how he wants his disciples to think about those things. And talks about murder in the heart, adultery. So he's talking about, there he's talking about anger and conflict. There he's talking about adultery in the heart and sexual immorality. It talks about the binding nature of marriage that is sacred, and that's family. He talks about oaths, so yes or no, how do you conduct your life? Do you say one thing but mean another? Do you need somebody else to invigilate you to make sure that you're going to keep true to your word, or are you going to keep it when you say it every single time? Going the second mile and actually not taking revenge on somebody, but actually giving even to your enemies and to people who ask things from you. Loving your enemies, he said. He said you're going to pray for those who persecute you. You've got to do good in such a way, so this is how you interact with the community. Do good in such a way that you don't trumpet how wonderful you are every time you do something nice, but actually do it humbly. He talks about your relationship with God. How do you pray to God? What do you ask for? What are you seeking with him? Who is he? Then your fasting, and so how do you continue to seek him humbly? Laying up treasures in heaven, so even how you conduct your lives, your finances, what's important to you in your daily pursuits. Whether or not you're a hypocrite, or whether you're going to be judging other people, whether you're going to serve God or whether you're going to serve money in your life. Not being anxious about things. Not judging people based upon your perception of what they are, where they're at. Asking, knocking for what is good from God, seeking that constantly as your Father in heaven, living through the narrow gate or walking through the narrow gate and walking on the narrow path, knowing that what fruit you bear in your life is the indication of whether or not you are connected to God. And that those who practice lawlessness, who cast aside law, break it, he will say to them in the future, I never knew you. Get away from me. And then build on the rock. So the Sermon on the Mount actually ends up covering most of life. I mean, maybe all of life. Is there anything missing?